Back, Plummer and Alade made one of the most potent blocks on Stanford's side.
Catherine Plummer starting in the front row. She and Kirsty Hillier will be in 3 rotations across the net from each other.
And as I say, one of the most potent blocks, all of a sudden Lutz and Fitzmaurice pop into my mind. You say, well, maybe that's one of the more potent blocks.
A lot of combinations for Stanford, pretty dangerous blocking.
Uh-oh. Alade gets a lot of overpass kills.
She certainly does, but the setter for Colorado State, Katie Oleksak, sneaking in there, trying to block that. Look at her quick reaction to try and block this ball. That time just gets bottom of the net trying to save it.
Kevin Hambley telling us how impressed he is with Colorado State's Oleksak. Outside, Plummer. Lots of conversation on Stanford's side, communicating well.
Catherine Plummer barely got her feet wide enough, but she looks like she got, actually Jenna Gray got nailed in the nose on that play. I don't know if it was the block or what it was, but she's shaking it off. But Catherine Plummer barely got her feet to the ball, but able to elevate and chisel it off the block.
Plummer laughing, meanwhile, as Jenna Gray looking loose. Oh, over the net, off the net serve, and nobody with a second contact.
Yeah, everybody is looking at one another, but if you're the libero, you need to step up. That's your job. Amanda Young, number 8, needs to do that.
Runnels, your eye on her there, is in the back court passing. You know she's an offensive threat as well. Didn't I just say that?
Interesting wrinkle for Colorado State, putting Brianna Reynolds in the back row. She's been playing mostly just front row from Colorado State, but Colorado State trying something new, using her out of the back row. She is a high flyer, and wow, found a seam in that big block.
That was a furious kill between Alade and Plummer. Nice dig. To the middle again. Lutz, Doug. Amanda Young handles the second ball, as is the plan. Relentless attack from the Rams.
Sonia Cheesmich, number 10. I didn't mention her as one of the threats offensively, but she was National Player of the Week for Colorado State early in September. Put up some amazing numbers. She's the right side player for Colorado State.
Oleksak serve. Ba-bang goes Alade.
Tammy Alade works her arm through that ball so fast. The Colorado State blockers there and unable to slow that down.
Jenna Gray serving, and this is a long front line for Stanford. On one pin, 6'8" Moretta Lutz, 6'6" Catherine Plummer on the other. Right off the head. Solid swing by Hillier.
Starting with a great pass from Brianna Reynolds. She's usually not in the back row passing, and she's unafraid putting that ball up in her setter's hands.
One of the things that Tom Hilbert told you and I in our conversation with him earlier today is that he stressed to his players, you need to be relentless and aggressive. No free balls, you will get punished for them by Stanford.
Colorado State's block is late on the press over the net. The pace of the arm swings, the altitude the ball's being attacked from Stanford, your hands need to be over the net quick if you're the Colorado State block.
Catherine Plummer serving. A strong rotation for Stanford. Credit Young stepping in to make sure that Reynolds gets a nice set. Ball long, they get Plummer off the back line. That's a big out.
That certainly is. That time Moretta Lutz trying to hit that ball deep, not getting enough topspin on the ball to bring it down.
Reynolds' pass wasn't on the mark, but Young wasted no time reacting to get the ball to her.
On those broken plays, if you're Colorado State, you want to put up a hittable ball. When you've got Brianna Reynolds on your side of the net, anything in a good area with some lift, she has a chance to kill the ball.
Sometimes when you have a redshirt freshman and it's their first NCAA tournament, coaches have told us they don't know enough to be nervous or intimidated. Reynolds certainly is not playing like either of those.
Well, she's blessed with some amazing athletic ability, and she knows how to use it. That time, hit a sharp cross-court ball. Megan McClure couldn't handle it.
We asked why she redshirted last year, and Tom Hilbert said He felt like she wasn't ready at the beginning of the year. By the middle of October, she was the best in the gym, and he was saying, what am I doing? But they stayed with it. He's going to have a great 4 years with her.
And that's important, letting your athletes develop so you can use them for that full 4 years. She has, you know, this being her freshman year, she has 3 more good years after this.
Kate Formico serving for the Cardinal. Nice kill behind the setter. That's Paulina Hogard-Jensen.
And it starts with a good pass. Sonia Cheesemich puts a perfect ball in Katie Oleksek's hands, and then Paulina Hogard-Jensen with the cross-court kill sneaks it inside of Fitzmaurice.
Reynolds serving. She had 12 kills versus Michigan yesterday. Jenna Gray on the joust.
Tight ball, and the setter's front row for Stanford. Jenna Gray turns and pushes and wins that joust for Stanford. Good heads-up play by Jenna.
Setters are always very tough to beat on the joust. That's their area. They're going after Reynolds. And feeding Fitzmaurice on the right again.
That connection between Jenna Gray and Adriana Fitzmaurice has gotten so solid. And Adriana Fitzmaurice, again, fast to the corner. Tough to defend.
Megan McClure continues to serve Reynolds. Free ball opportunity. The Rams need to convert off of this. There won't be many on either side. Double contact or a lift called there.
Interesting that Colorado State's choosing to run Brianna Reynolds out of the back row so often. I knew they wanted to use it as an option. They're getting Stanford in trouble defensively, but going to it a little too often, in my opinion.
6-point lead for Stanford in this first set. Reynolds receiving every serve. Plummer. Off the net and out. Ram point.
And Jasmine Hanna, number 6, just kept that ball in play and let Stanford play the ball, giving her defense a chance to score that ball.
Amanda Young, a sophomore from Nebraska, was behind Cassie Denny on the depth chart last year.
That time, Adriana Fitzmaurice going off 1 foot, but not getting on top of the ball, hitting it wide.
Young was a walk-on track athlete who has developed beautifully for Colorado State. Outside, Plummer with a dent in the floor.
Pretty swing on the left side from Catherine Plummer. There was a well-formed block taking line away from Catherine Plummer, and she just goes sharp inside of the block.
Reynolds middle back, receiving serve. Pretty confident that Stanford's going to continue to make her handle the ball. They do. What a nice play. Slide hitter behind in Hillier.
Kirsty Hillier, a redshirt sophomore, has been really impressive. Good arm swing. Puts herself in a perfect position to kill that ball.
Oleksek serving. Tom Hilbert says she is serious about volleyball, has great conversations with her. No touch. Oh, there is a touch on it.
You hear Tom Hilbert, I'm actually reading his lips, he's saying, press over, don't go high on Catherine Plummer. And that's the temptation. You're going against a big hitter. You want to make sure you're low and over. It might be hard when you're 6'6" to stay low.
Yeah, it also probably looks like flags, right, when you try to reach up high. Nice turn. Hillier is as advertised today.
I love that angle. She's able to get on top of the ball and hit an impossible angle for Colorado State.
Reynolds back up front now, along with Hillier and Cheesemich. Maddie Fouts serving there, and we'll step away as Stanford leads Colorado State by 5 in set number 1 of this NCAA volleyball tournament presented by Tashikara. Our Tashikara scoreboard update. Take a look at this. It's an all Pac-12 final in the College Cup. NCAA women's soccer, Stanford and UCLA each coming back with wins in their tournament semifinals. The fans are here, and I don't have enough brain power to read all that out. Volleyball, flexing their abs as much as they can.
Those are from some very fit athletes.
Yep. Doesn't look like the men's team, but maybe it is.
Don't think they're tall enough to be men's volleyball, but they're very fit.
Runnels handles the first ball. Everybody was looking at Runnels, and he went to Hilliard.
I love the pass and the set. Kirsty Hilliard, so confident. She did what Tammy Alade did earlier in this match, just split the two blockers. Megan McClure needs to close that block and help on Kirsty Hilliard.
4 kills on 5 swings for Hilliard.
Right now, Colorado State hitting 353, Stanford hitting 438, but those are great offensive numbers for Colorado State.
Big dig by Heinemeier.
How about that swing? Brianna Reynolds not trying to hit the ball straight down, deep to the corner, but it all starts with that dig and then the deep corner shot for Colorado State.
Jenna Heinemeier, a freshman from Parker, Colorado, another serve. McClure looking for hands and gets them.
Offensive numbers really good for both teams. Each one trying to figure out how to slow down the other team's offense with blocking schemes, with defensive ideas.
Young's pass was perfect. What a delivery.
Katie Oleksak and Paulina Hogard-Jensen, best friends. They started living together when they first came to campus, and they have a nice connection offensively.
Cheesemich. You got to go aggressive. Tom Hilbert says he's got no problem with you going forward on the serve. Lollipop serve will be a side out for sure.
Exactly. You need to put pressure on the other team. Obviously, aggressive in making too many service errors is another story.
Olivia Nicholson just came in relief of Cheesemich. Outside. Fitzmore's a little late, still worked.
Adriana Fitzmore, she was late with her feet, but her press over with her hands, especially it looks like she gets this one with her left hand back into the court. That press over the net is so important.
All your sports, all the time.
Of course, this is a lot of action going on around the country. Second round of the NCAA tournament. Pittsburgh took 1 set from Penn State. Of course, yesterday, Florida advanced to the 3rd round with a win over Miami, and this was the big one. Western Kentucky was up on Kentucky 2-0. Kentucky won the next 2, and then in the 5th set, tied up at 12-12. Kentucky maintains their seed, and they will be hosting a regional.
And that was a big deal because if Kentucky would have lost that match, the regional would have probably gone to Nebraska.
Yeah, the regional would have gone to Nebraska. Travis Hudson and the Lady Hilltoppers are fantastic at Western Kentucky.
What an impressive performance in the NCAA tournament by Western Kentucky.
Meanwhile, you can bet Nebraska was watching that closer than anybody else. Look at our set 1 stats. Both of these teams playing remarkably efficiently. The numbers are great for both. 350 for Colorado attacking, 444 for Stanford.
It's just been clean volleyball. I think we're going to see more stops in the 2nd set and later sets because both teams trying to figure out one another. Both coaches working fervently on the sideline trying to figure it out.
Stanford with a 5-point lead. Nebraska in the 3rd set right now against Washington State. Washington State 3 points behind. From the backcourt, Runnels. Block is solid. Jenna Gray.
Jenna Gray, she's probably one of the smallest blockers on the court for Stanford, but she has great technique, presses over, does a fantastic job blocking. Both setters, the Colorado State, Katie Oleksak is also a very strong blocker, 5-1 setter, but able to do a good job defensively at the net.
Formico first ball. Oh, love the change of pace from McClure.
And that's something Megan McClure has really worked on the second half of the season of Pac-12. She was working so hard to establish power, but this is the shot that's really working for her.
Tom Hilbert calls a timeout to talk with his team. They're down by 7.
But his team's doing a lot of good things. You know, we talked to him today, and he just wanted his team to come out and play loose and aggressive, and he wanted to throw a couple different new looks at Stanford, like Brianna Reynolds out of the back row. So I like that. He's kind of thinking, how can I make Stanford uncomfortable? And I think if you look at the offensive numbers, Colorado State's doing some good things.
They certainly are. Stanford has done great things all season long. And you look back at their season recap, it was Kevin Hambley's first year as the head coach of this Stanford team. He came in to coach the defending NCAA champions.
26-3 overall, 19-1 in the Pac-12. That's a pretty good start.
Right? 3 losses. 1 was to Washington, the other 2 to Penn State.
And 37 NCAA appearance. So every time, Penn State and Stanford in the conversation. And then you talk about Catherine Plummer. She is something special. Catherine the Great, Pac-12 Player of the Year after last year being the National Freshman of the Year.
Yep, 7 NCAA titles for this Cardinal team. 1 last year, of course. They won the Pac-12 conference title again, the 17th time in the Pac-10-12 era that they've done that.
You know what's interesting is last year Stanford won the national title, but they did not win the Pac-12 conference title.
That's right, Washington did, and Washington is the team that beat Stanford. It's also the team that Kevin Hambley has talked to us about the most over the last 2 days. He's so impressed with what Keegan Cook has done in Washington. Outside, Reynolds, quick ball out to her, snap down.
Beautiful set by Katie Oleksak, and then Brianna Reynolds with the finish. She just is fun to watch. High flyer, gets that ball down to the floor fast for Colorado State.
Reynolds has Kate Formico handle the first ball. Tip, punched, put up well by Reynolds.
Change of direction. Megan McClure just making smart decisions, managing her offense. She doesn't have to hit it hard like Catherine Plummer, but she hits it with pace down the line, catching the defender, Olivia Nicholson, by surprise.
McClure serving. Reynolds is down the line, and that is where they serve. Dumped over.
Free ball. Adriana Fitzmaurice, the middle blocker, gets off the net. Perfect pass, and then Jenna Gray has all her options available.
That fan approves of the play, the thumbs up. $6 p.m. start today here on the farm in Maples Pavilion. Means there's a lot of young fans here. Pass is solid. Outside, little hesitation, goes right off the hands of Fitzmaurice. Bang, and Young ready to deliver. It hit the antenna though, Cardinal point.
Amanda Young did a great job getting her platform on the ball, just needs to pull that dig a little off the net, and Katie Oleksak, the setter, can do something with it.
Oleksak serves.
It's the details, the small plays like that, everyone looking at one another. You need to be aggressive. That's a free ball opportunity if you're Colorado State.
McClure serving for the set. Fans on the feet. Reynolds is pulled out of the serve receive. Good heat on that ball by Hannah. Taken down on the block, needs to be put over. Here's a free ball to the Cardinal. Set 1 to the Cardinal.
When you and I talked to Tom Hilbert, he said, I don't want to give them free balls. Stanford will eat us alive. And that last play was one of those opportunities. If you get a broken play, somebody set that second ball for one of the attackers to hit.
That's right. I think it was the only free ball they gave. Tom Hilbert stressing some points to his Colorado State Rams. A lot of good to take out of it, though. The Rams hit 250 in set number 1. Cardinal hit 538. I'm not going to call it ugly sweater day. I'll just call it sweater day. How about that? Pac-12 volleyball presented by Tashikara. Set 1 in the books. Stanford really dominated, Holly.
Well, they certainly did. They came out fired up. They have a lot of respect for this Colorado State team, starting with some deep offense, some blocking out of the back row, but Brianna Reynolds too good. And then Stanford starting to get their block going, and Fitzmore is starting off with a couple kills out of the middle.
538 is an awfully high hitting percentage as a team to try to overcome. Reynolds, meanwhile, had a great first set. She was as powerful as could be. She received more sets than anybody else on the floor on either team.
If you're Colorado State, you've got to like your offensive numbers. They weren't bad, but you need to find ways to slow down Stanford. And that's one of the things that assistant Luke Murray does. He charts, he comes up with blocking schemes to slow down Stanford. So let's see what kind of adjustments they make in the second set.
Well dug by Hentz. She sets McClure, Plum does, from the backcourt. Door is closed by Gray and Fitzmaurice.
This play started on a fantastic stab by Morgan Hentz, and then Catherine Plummer sets that second contact. But Morgan Hentz in a good spot defensively to dig that Hillier swing out of the middle.
Hence the Pac-12 Libero of the Year. Plummer able to poke that over.
That would be a trouble situation for almost any other player in the country. But Catherine Plummer gets her feet to the ball and elevates it and contacts it before it comes down to anybody else's level.
That's exactly my thought, and she makes it look so effortless. She's incredibly efficient with her body. Nice swing by Hannah.
Jasmine Hannah has played in every match during her career except 2 for Colorado State, and she does a fantastic job managing her offense, making good decisions on when to kill, when to tool. That's an important part of being an outside hitter.
Tom Hilbert said her composure is terrific. 13 kills versus Michigan yesterday had Hannah. Outside. That was a tough set for Reynolds as she tried to chase it.
And I think Brianna Reynolds tried to attack the seam, but Fitzmaurice gets there and closes it. She looks like she's late, but at 6'6", she reaches her arms and closes that seam for the Stanford block.
It looks like her arms are so long that her reach across her wingspan is more than 6'6" even, and that's really nice when you have a long player with even longer arms.
Speaking of long reaches, Tammy Alade, number 6, gets her hands way over the net for Stanford on this play. Kirsty Hillier trying to cut this ball back, but the right-hand push by Tammy Alade too much.
Yeah, to give you an idea of how great this Stanford team is, she's been waiting 3 years to get on the court. Alade is behind Inky Ojanaku and talented middles. Alade grabbed a hold of the opportunity, though. Door closed, Plummer all over it.
Catherine Plummer, again, way over the net. And if you're Colorado State, you don't ever get a chance to play a team with the physicality like this. This is a big challenge for them.
Colorado State going after Stanford. They trail by 4 in set number 2. Tom Hilbert has made his home at Colorado State University in Fort Collins. If you look all the way down at the bottom, Amy Van Dyken, one of our fellow Pac-12 network broadcasters, part of the alumni of the Rams.
I really enjoyed talking to Tom Hilbert today and just asking him about what he still loves about coaching the game. And he loves getting these young athletes early and seeing them grow up and graduate as adults and go into the world and be really successful. He loves that process, and it's important to love it after that long.
Yeah, he really lit up when you asked him that. I thought that was special. That's saying watching people grow up. And it's a special place, Moby Arena. He's very fond of Moby Arena, and with good reason. They have the 3rd best home winning percentage in the NCAA. 1 is Penn State, number 2 is Texas, and 3rd is Colorado State in Moby Arena. Ace serve for the Rams.
How about that? Kirsty Hillier from the back line. She hits it at 6'6". Her point of contact is so high that she can get that ball fast across the net and dropping.
Plummer comes inside.
It's interesting, every time she runs that set, the defense does a certain thing and she just goes the other way. She's able to see the shift to the left and she goes right.
It's a great point. You're saying the defense hoping that to shift her to hit down the line or turn it towards down the line?
Well, I think when people come inside, they lose their range in the angle, but she doesn't at her size. And she's also used to seeing the block. She's an established beach volleyball player, one of the best in the world at her age. And she sees the defense and she's able to take advantage of it.
Jenna Gray serving, hits the seam.
Love the arm speed. That's been a major improvement in Jenna Gray's game. Using that arm, she's a javelin thrower for Stanford, but she puts pace on that ball, and the reaction time of the Colorado State player wasn't fast enough.
Yeah, it was right between Fouts and Young. Fouts now chasing it down.
And Tom Hilbert says, you know what, Amanda Young is a great passer. She puts up our best numbers in serve receive, but Jenna Gray putting enough pace and a little bit of rise in that serve, getting Colorado State in trouble.
A 4-0 serving run or scoring run for Stanford. And another ace by Jenna Gray.
It's got pace and movement, and that's what makes a serve dangerous. It's moving. And now you see Tom Hilbert talking to his team, shifting his team in serve receive, taking Amanda Young out of the serve receive. That never happens.
Fouts passes the ball. Runnels does her job and gets to work.
Brianna Runnels elevates enough where she's at the same altitude as the Stanford players and cuts it right inside the block of Stanford.
You know, serving all coaches work on, especially towards the end of the season, but the Pac-12 is especially brutal in their serving. Washington, Stanford, last night, UCLA's Riley Bushler had 5 service aces at the end of their opening round match. So important.
Serving is everything. When you get to the highest level, it's who can take the other team's offense out of it and really neutralize them. Right now, Colorado State on a little bit of run offensively.
Lots the crack on the ball.
I love that feed from Jenna Gray. She was at the 3-meter line, also known as the 10-foot line. She pushes it to 6'8" Moretta Lutz, who's used to be a middle attacker and is very comfortable hitting out of the middle for Stanford.
Kevin Hambley has said to us that it's possible Lutz even hits the ball harder than Plummer at times. As Plummer's serve, Hence steps in to set the second ball.
Now Stanford is a little bit late on their press. Brianna Reynolds cycles through that ball fast with her arm, and Tammy Alade's push over the net is late, and that's why it's going down on the Stanford side of the net. You need to slide your hands over the net on a hitter like Reynolds.
Reynolds hitting .231, has 13 swings of the ball, more than anybody on either side of the net. Dug that ball, did Reynolds. There's the pike and the close.
Yes, that press is everything. Moretta Lutz setting it up, but Tammy Alade with the assist.
That looked like fool me once, but not twice. She was over building a roof. Yep.
Evan Hambley telling her the same thing. Press over. Make sure you're pressing over, and it's fast.
Back out to Hannah. And a net violation against Stanford.
Moretta Lutz saying, my fault, sorry guys.
Young serving. Plummer handles the first ball. Then it was interesting talking with Tom Hilbert about strategy beforehand. He talked about serving Plummer. It's something that everybody's tried all season long. We've seen coaches say, we're going to go at her, I'm going to go away from her.
Try and wear her out.
Good luck.
Yes.
You know, try to get her out of her rhythm. As a beach player, it certainly doesn't get her out of her rhythm to serve her more than anybody else because she's maybe used to that rhythm.
I think it makes her work in terms of her feet. She has to work harder after passing the ball to get out and take an approach. And, you know, I understand the strategy. It's just a lot of people have tried it and it hasn't worked. But why not? You never know.
Oh, for sure. And they've gone away from her, too, and that also hasn't worked. So you never know. The thing about Plummer, though, is you watch her, she doesn't even expend a lot of energy emotionally. You don't see a whole lot of drama surrounding her. She looks pretty much the same, whether she's put a dent in the floor or rarely shanked one.
Good point.
Getting a rest out of the serve receive right now is Plummer. Alexak serving. Nice delivery. Stanford had to work.
A little bit of a misconnect, but Hillier at 6'6", saves it with her left hand, keeps it in play, and then Megan McClure for Stanford attacking that seam fast, getting the kill.
Reynolds continues to handle the first ball. Here's a free ball to Stanford. One-on-one. Ba-bang.
Man, I don't want to be the defense behind the one block with Catherine Plummer getting her feet to the ball, annihilating that. She is dangerous.
Hilbert up off the bench, calls a timeout. It's the one thing he stressed to us over and over again. You cannot give a free ball to Stanford.
And, you know, in that situation, it was an errant pass. They had to. They didn't have a chance to set it. But one of the things that's picked up in the second set is Stanford serving the ball extremely well. They've been able to get Colorado State out of system all second set. It's been a struggle.
And the Stanford team is so experienced, you only have to look back to last December to find out. Of course, in Columbus, Ohio, against Texas, in the NCAA championship match, the Cardinal was perfect.
They certainly were. And then Inky Ajanaku, the only senior on that team, leading the young, fearless, talented group of supporting cast. And wow, what a season it was.
Looking back at Stanford, the last 5 seasons in the NCAA tournament, Penn State, of course, taking the championship. Some of those years last year, they finally overcame it, got all the way to the final match and won.
In those prior years, they had a really good squad with high expectations. Last year, they had 4 freshmen starting, not the highest expectations, but a special group of players with a common goal, and they worked hard for that.
And of course, for Kevin Hamley, this is his first season. He came from Illinois. John Dunning won the national championship with this team, won the National Coach of the Year, and dropped the mic, retired, walked off with the win. And for Kevin Hamley, it's a special kind of pressure, really, coming in and coaching these defending national champions. They don't know anything but winning. And he said they won't really be satisfied with anything less.
But I feel like he's a perfectionist as well. I think he's like-minded with his team.
Perfect example of Gray and Plummer being efficient. What a dig by Morgan Hentz, and a net violation on Stanford.
Morgan Hentz is doing a fantastic job sitting right inside the block, digging the very hard heat inside the block, but that time Fitzmaurice got a piece of the net when she turned.
She's as good a libero as there is anywhere in the country, out of Lakeside Park, Kentucky, and a commander of the backcourt.
Behind the line for the Cardinal, number 12, Adriana
Fitzmaurice serving. The NCAA championship is going to be in her hometown, Kansas City, Missouri. She's Overland Park, Kansas, right next to each other. Wants to go home.
Both she and Jenna Gray for Stanford looking forward to going home and winning it all. That is their goal.
Of
course, plenty of work to do before then, and Hillier with another kill, 6th kill for Hillier. She's now in the backcourt. Plummer.
There's the angle. And when we talked to Tom Hilbert today from Colorado State, he said, we had Luke Murray, our assistant, trying to hit those angles because usually you do not see that in the women's volleyball game, but Catherine Plummer has it.
And by the angle, we're talking about her contact point as well. For the reach up and the angle down, as well as
the height of the point of contact in the sharpness and degree of the angles are pretty impressive when you're 6'6".
Cheesemich serves Plummer. Alade behind the setter. Runnels, huge block.
That time, Tammy Alade made sure she was way over the net, and it paid off with a big Stanford block. Look at this press by Tammy Alade, way over the net with those hands.
I mean, this has to be the dream rotation for Kevin Hambley, having Alade and Lutz on Reynolds there, because it is just an extended roof.
Hogard Jensen able to sneak that through the seam. She's a player from Denmark who's super smart, coachable, makes some good decisions. She has one of the highest hitting percentages in the country, hitting .470.
Yeah, number 2 in Division I coming into the weekend. Talk about angles. Like a shot.
I feel like that's one of, besides that 3-set to Moretta Letts, she got a hold of that one. One of her hardest hits of the night. Moretta Letts gets all the way to the ball. Good arm speed. When you talk about offense, Colorado State 4th in the country, hitting .319 as a team. Stanford hits .312. So these are two high-powered offenses. It's just what's going on the other side of the net. The defense and the block is huge for Stanford.
I'm looking at that attack by Lutz, and I'm wondering if she's a first-team AVCA All-American this year. She was on honorable mention, I think, last year, but she has been something consistently this season.
When teams run their offense away from you, that's a good sign.
Courtney Bohm was brought in to block, and she did her job. Look at the size of this front line for Stanford.
Yeah, let's talk about the size and length, and then the hand movement. Courtney Bowen sees the tip and swats it down and says, not in my kitchen.
Outside. No, really, it's long as they continue to go.
Brianna Reynolds gets a piece of that tall block and a Colorado State kill.
Coming up after this set, we're going to send you back to our Pac-12 network studio for the Pac-12 intermission report. Going to talk about that USC-Stanford football championship yesterday, and then the all Pac-12 College Cup final in women's soccer. Plenty of great things happening in the Pac. Plummer from the backcourt.
It's funny, Stanford doesn't use that back row attack much, especially when they're in system, but what a nice option to have Catherine Plummer handle that little pipe attack in transition. Beautiful kill.
Kate Formico serving. Dug by Hentz. And it's just cannons on both sides of the net.
We're seeing Catherine Plummer hit a couple more out of the row than we usually do. She's just on fire, and right now they're in a rotation, Stanford, with Jenna Gray in the front row. So they've got 2 front row attackers and then Plummer in the back row.
Plummer, 1 attack error, 6 kills, hitting .692.
And for a left side player, those numbers are crazy, because if your team gets out of system, you kind of get the trouble sets, but not Stanford. Kirsty Hillier continuing to impress, 7 kills on 12 swings for Colorado State.
Colorado State doing a terrific job, frankly. This is Stanford playing at a very high level today, and Colorado State right on top of them. Young to Runnels in the backcourt.
Colorado State using Brianna Reynolds, in my opinion, a little too much out of the back row, but their hitters in the front row having a hard time getting past the Stanford block in the front.
Set point, Stanford. Uh-oh. And the setter, who was backcourt, contacting the ball above the plane of the net, and set 2 goes to Stanford.
Jenna Gray, 2 kills.
Rotation around a little bit to try to give Stanford a different look. They're serving us extremely tough and they're blocking well. So it's the first 2 forms of disruption. They're doing a good job. But I told my team, look, we can play better than this, and we know it. We've traveled too many miles to not play well, and I think they want to come out and have fun this game, and you know, that's the best way that's how we're gonna be successful.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time.
You bet.
Looking to have fun, and so playing loose, perhaps going to Runnels some more. We'll see if Runnels is going to be used as much as she was in the first 2 sets.
Well, you talk about forms of disruption, and that's what gives people fits. It doesn't matter who your offense is. When you serve as well as Stanford's serving, and you've got the blocking too, it's tough to stop. Catherine Plummer helps when she's got your jersey on. She has been fantastic for Stanford. 4 kills to start this match, and lots of firepower. Stanford's also passing the ball well enough to run the offense they want to run and get it past the Colorado State block, hitting .692 on 13 swings.
Yeah, Catherine Plummer, just one of the players contributing to that .480 hitting percentage that Stanford has through the first 2 sets.
In the blocking advantage, Stanford has 10 blocks, Colorado State 0.
If you look at Colorado State right now on the floor, though, their body language, they are loose. They are happy and having fun. Look, playing in the NCAA tournament is fun. Tom Hilbert's expectations for them are very high, but they did a lot of great things, especially in that first set.
Yeah, and this is the time of the year you win or go home, so you need to make that adjustment, have fun, play a little looser, and go for it.
Yeah, it's a survive and advance tournament. Outside. Door closed by the blockers, and then Hillier follows up. Up. Free ball to Stanford. Durant made him work for it.
That's for sure. The effort for Colorado State was really strong in that last rally. You see the match stats so far. Colorado State hitting 172 to Stanford's 480. That's been the difference, along with the blocks for Stanford, 10-0.
Yeah, the 0 is what's really hard on Colorado State. And of course, the service continues. The aces, it's the 6th for Stanford today.
6 aces, and everybody's contributing. Adriana Fitzmaurice, 6'6", on the back line, high point of contact, enough velocity where that ball's dropping out.
Cheese Mitch. And again, it's a Latte and Plummer.
11 blocks for Stanford.
It really doesn't matter if it's a Latte and Plummer, if it's Lutz, if it's Fitzmaurice. Jenna Gray has had some as well.
All that matters is Stanford is way over the net, pressing over.
Runnels puts up a nice pass. Everybody thinks she's going to get it, at least I did. It went the other way. Block waited for it.
For Colorado State, it's about making good offensive decisions. Look at who the Stanford blockers are. Who's the smallest, weakest blocker in the front row? There aren't really any, but Jenna Gray would be the smallest one. Push that ball to the left side and try and isolate her.
Yeah, it's one of the things that Tom Hilbert shared with us as well. He said on our scouting report, we have up at the top blockers to be exploited. He's like, it was really short list. He's like, and we just didn't want to leave it blank. Really, you can't exploit
one
many.
player, and she's a good blocker.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I just didn't want to leave it blank. I mean, that's how great Stanford is.
But it's that first contact that's really a problem for Colorado State.
Strong start for Stanford in the 3rd set. A 6-0 start to set number 3. This Pac-12 women's volleyball match has been brought to you by Tachikara. We've got the ball, you bring the game. The Hall of Fame, when they say the Pac-12 is where champions play, Stanford, oh, look at all the athletes they had that competed in Rio. And we'd asked Kevin Hambley if he thought any of these players would be playing perhaps in the Olympic team, and he said there's some great talented players, not only here but across the country. But he was really careful and said, look, I know what it's like in that national team, Jim. There's a lot more to it than just being a great player.
There certainly is. It's competitive. It has to be your life. And then just to get in that competitive environment and do it every day, you have to be passionate about it.
Holly, of course, played in 3 Olympic Games. I'd say you're passionate about it, an Olympic medalist as well. Tell me about the NCAA championship that you won, Holly, though, in terms of what it was like, because to win an NCAA championship, you have to win 6 matches. That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah, it's a 6-match focus. You win 6 in a row, and you get that title. So it's a small focus, 1 match at a time, and you don't want to look past anybody, because anybody can win an NCAA tournament. It's win or go home, and you do not want to have an off match. It was special for us because we were a really tight-knit group. We had great chemistry, and we were all working hard towards the same goal, and it paid off.
Jenna Gray, young passes. They go to the middle, and again, not going to Runnels as much. Free ball. Again, they go to the middle. Scores for the Rams.
I like that decision for Colorado State. Get the middle going, because if you set the left side, Moretta Letts at 6'8", waiting for that ball.
Very tight set. What a delivery. Or tight pass. What a delivery from Jenna Gray.
Jenna Gray and the connection between she and all of her hitters. And that's what great setters do. They make their hitters better. And putting it in a good hittable spot is what Jenna Gray is doing for Stanford.
Ball was long.
Colorado State's best hitter right now in the back row on the service line.
Lutz turns it too wide down the line.
That's one of the things Kevin Hambley talked about, trying to get Moretta Letts in a better offensive rhythm. They're going to need to be firing on all cylinders as this tournament progresses.
Stanford, of course, one of the top 4 seeds, meaning that if they continue past this match, they will host a regional here. Kentucky got a big fight from Western Kentucky. Kentucky, the 4th seed. They were able to hold on to their seed, and they will host. Florida will host another seed, and Penn State will. So far, the top 4 seeds holding. Ba-bang goes McClure.
McClure gets her 13th swing and 6th kill on 0 hitting errors for Stanford.
Behind the setter, smooth. Wow, Lutz just punishing the ball.
And Jenna Gray made that look easy. The dig was way far over, close to the antenna. Moretta Letts made herself available. Gets a good swing on the ball.
Hannah inside the block, chased down by Jenna Gray. Free ball to the Rams. Everybody involved. And Runnels was coming like a freight train.
Wow. Brianna Runnels out of the back row was so high up in the air and hit a very sharp angle.
You could tell on that pass, this was, I'm only giving it to you for a second, give it right back.
Wow.
Block is solid.
First block of the match. And we're in the 3rd set for Colorado State.
One of the things I really loved out of our conversation with Tom Hilbert was we talked about Jasmine Hannah. Talked about last night, he said to Michigan, to setter, you got to go with who wants the ball. And Hannah just looked and said, it's going to be me. It's going to be me. Colorado State has that fire.
And I see that confidence from Kirsty Hillier in the middle, number 13. She gets her 8th kill And she wants the ball every time she's in the front row. She's yelling for it.
These Rams are engaged.
Adriana Fitzmaurice hits the sharp cutback, able to turn that ball away from 6'6" Kirsty Hillier.
Stanford looking like a well-oiled machine right now.
Beautiful attack.
Formico serving. Runnels, perfect pass. Plummer from the backcourt.
What? That ball got down the line so fast. The range, the velocity. That's why she's the Pac-12 Conference Player of the Year. Look at how she gets her feet to that ball. That ball was set inside and able to turn it down the line.
It was a replay of what we saw last night. Meanwhile, the block lying in wait for Runnels.
Fitzmaurice doing a great job sliding over the net, and she has been the hot blocker for Stanford in the last month.
Block waiting for Hannah.
If you're Colorado State, you're so stressed about Stanford's hitters not hurting you, you forget about the setter, and Jenna Gray gets her third kill.
Formico continuing to serve. That's Hannah and Hillier waiting for it. And McClure powering through the block.
Let's talk about that dig by Kate Formico. Sitting in a perfect location, controls that ball, what you would call a perfect dig right in the setter's hands for Stanford's transition.
Stanford with a significant lead in set number 3. 9-point lead. Take a look at it again.
Look at Kate Formico. Perfect control right into Jenna Gray's hands. She barely has to move. Even though Colorado State's able to control that block, Stanford gets a second chance.
You know how hard you have to work to get on the floor for Stanford as a freshman? It's been incredible. Let's take a look at our Tashikara scoreboard update. Colorado leading Baylor. That's a big one. San Diego leading USC. Nebraska holds their seat.
And we've been kind of looking forward to the Colorado-Baylor matchup as well as the San Diego USC. You see BYU up 2-0 over Oregon. Washington, Illinois in the first set. Cal Poly and UCLA haven't started yet.
And an upset here that Missouri took down 20th ranked Wichita State. It was tied up at 24 apiece in the fourth set. Missouri was up 2-1, and they were able to pull it out. It's really been an interesting second round.
Well, let's talk about Missouri. They were third in the SEC conference, 13-5, 21-11 on the season. Last night was their first win over a ranked opponent, and then they get another one back-to-back.
That's called peaking at the right time. Michael Seeley, when they won in 2011, UCLA won the national championship. They did not win the conference. They didn't even have a great year. They just had a great December, to your point earlier. 6 in a row.
6 in a row, and any team in the country can get hot. Right now, Stanford looks pretty darn hot.
Yep. Formico, service error.
Serve goes into the net. Point, Colorado State. Serving for the Rams, number 22, Katie Alexa.
Coming up at 8 o'clock on Pac-12 Bay Area, St. Mary's versus Cal men's basketball. We're at Maples Pavilion across the bay. And a net violation on the Rams as Stanford inches closer to the end of set number 3.
It's obvious that Stanford's in control of this match, but they're focusing on playing clean volleyball, making good offensive decisions. Jenna Gray isolating her hitters that last play. Megan McClure had only one block in front of her.
Alexak trying to keep it alive.
Colorado State looking to wipe the floor, slow things down a little bit. Might be a wet spot. But when you're rolling like Stanford is and you're doing everything so well, it takes energy to stay that focused on the little things and not relax.
Laid out, Jenna Gray back to Fitzmaurice. Every Stanford player takes a huge crack at the ball.
Well, Stanford's making some good defensive plays behind the block as well, and then they turn it into a high percentage attack play. In transition, it's really tough to stop.
Gray back again, and this time off the hands and opposite side of the court.
That time Colorado State there on the block, but just can't turn that ball back into the court.
Runnels first contact. Alexak, one-handed set. No, there is a touch called, and it is Stanford point. Cheesemich, and Fitzmaurice was all over it.
15 blocks for Stanford compared to 1 for Colorado State. And if you look at their national ranking, Colorado State 2.89 blocks per set compared to Stanford's 3 blocks.
Winner of this match will face Wisconsin. Wisconsin swept Iowa State earlier tonight with a nice hitting percentage of .317.
Colorado State trying to do everything they can, trying some back row attack. It's a lot of pressure when you've got a huge block in front of you to hit out of the back row.
Runnels handles the first ball. Outside. Ball comes right back, and it is match point Stanford. Match point. Runnels. Plummer. And not yet, says Hillier in the rims.
Kirsty Hillier, second block for Colorado State.
For the match, Plummer kills. Stanford advances to the regional.
Pretty impressive performance, both sides of the ball, and relentless by Stanford. Colorado State's a very good volleyball team, but Stanford made them uncomfortable all night long.
Stanford will host the NCAA regional. They will play Wisconsin next weekend.
And Wisconsin has had a good season. They are going to be a nice challenge, and I think Stanford's up for it. They're focused on the small details, and that's going to be what it takes to win another title.
We're going to come back with more on the other side of this from Maples Pavilion. Stanford over Colorado State.